Hello, welcome to our RecapPlus channel with me, Matthew. Today we will watch a recap movie called One Ranger, released in 2023. This is a spoiler content video. So please turn on the subtitle and let's start the story. The film opens with our protagonist, Ranger, on the hunt for an escaped criminal who recently broke out of prison. He eventually locates the criminal, who is heavily intoxicated. Ranger offers to take him back to jail, giving the criminal a chance to reform his ways. The criminal agrees to try and improve his behavior. Ranger receives a call from the office, assigning him to intercept a robber's car that happens to be passing through his current location. Two other police officers attempt to stop the car, but their vehicle is ill-equipped, and they lose the pursuit. The leader of the robbers, Declan, decides to exit the car and opens fire on the police car, disabling it. The Ranger has been monitoring the robber's car and takes a long-distance shot, managing to hit the car's gas tank, causing it to break down. The robbers exit the vehicle, and Ranger confronts them. While he manages to eliminate most of the robbers, Declan escapes. The story then shifts to Texas City, where Ranger is contacted by FBI agent Smith. She informs him that Declan, the dangerous criminal, has been captured by Mexican police and asks Ranger to retrieve him from Mexico. Initially hesitant, Ranger eventually accepts the assignment due to Declan's threat level. Ranger arrives at the Mexican border, where local authorities caution him about Declan's notoriety. Despite the warnings, Ranger is confident in his abilities and proceeds with the mission. Declan is transferred to Ranger's custody, and they set off for a Texas prison. However, during the journey, their vehicle is ambushed, and they are attacked by armed assailants. Tragically, Ranger loses a friend in the ensuing shootout, and he is overwhelmed. He manages to find cover behind a tree and narrowly escapes death. It is revealed that the attackers were Declan's accomplices, intent on freeing him. They hastily flee the scene upon hearing approaching police sirens. Ranger survives and is rushed to the hospital for medical attention. The story then shifts to Ukraine, where Declan meets an arms dealer to collect a shipment of weapons he had ordered. The story takes a dark turn as Declan is revealed to have acquired a weapon of mass destruction, controlled remotely. He shares his sinister plan to attack the city of London, England, with the arms dealer. It becomes clear that Declan is a terrorist operating within an organization. He instructs his associate to smuggle the weapon to a designated address. Back in Texas, Ranger, having recovered from his previous ordeal, is approached by Smith once more. She apologizes for the previous incident and implores Ranger to assist in tracking down Declan again. Despite his concerns for his safety, Ranger agrees when he learns of Declan's potential terrorist threat in London, where many lives are at stake. Ranger and Smith depart for London and are met by the local agency's head, Geddes, upon their arrival. Geddes explains that Ranger was chosen for the mission due to his survival against Declan's previous attack, as other agents had been unable to confront Declan directly. Meanwhile, Declan is in London, having just concluded a disturbing encounter with his girlfriend. His cold demeanor upsets his lover, Angel, who feels used by Declan for his physical desires. Ranger and Smith visit a bar in the city center, presumably to gather information or continue their investigation. In their quest to locate Declan, Smith and Ranger decided to meet an old friend of Smith's, who happened to be Angel, Declan's girlfriend. Smith explained their mission to Angel, seeking information about Declan's whereabouts. Angel mentioned that she had a date with Declan the previous day but was unaware of his current location, which raised suspicions about her knowledge of his activities. Smith then brought up the possibility of helping Angel's imprisoned friends in exchange for information about Declan. Angel eventually shared the location of Declan's hideout. Acting swiftly, they made their way to the hideout, but were immediately ambushed by Declan's henchmen. A skirmish ensued, during which Ranger was bested by one of Declan's men, who managed to escape. The story then shifted to Declan and his associate, Oleg, meeting with a chemical weapons scientist to obtain additional weapons. However, this scientist turned out to be a traitor, and Declan's group killed him before leaving with the chemical weapons. Returning to Smith and Ranger, they were seen enjoying a peaceful moment, drinking tea, and savoring the morning air. Suddenly, Oleg and his men appeared, launching an attack. In the ensuing firefight, Smith managed to shoot Oleg in the neck, but the situation grew dire as they realized they were being hunted by the criminals. Determined to strike back and find Oleg, Smith and Ranger decided to infiltrate Oleg's base. Smith aggressively interrogated one of the guards for Oleg's whereabouts. Upon reaching Oleg's room, they discovered he was absent. Shortly afterward, Oleg and his men returned to the base, sparking a violent confrontation. After dispatching Oleg's men, Ranger engaged in a brutal brawl with Oleg, eventually gouging out Oleg's eyes. However, Oleg managed to escape despite his injuries. Following these events, Geddes contacted Ranger, and Smith was hospitalized. Geddes inquired about any informants who might know Declan's location. Ranger revealed the existence of an informant who was currently threatening to detonate explosives. They promptly met with the informant, and Smith, determined to extract the vital information they needed, convinced him to reveal Declan's whereabouts. Shortly after, the informant who had been threatening the police detonated the bomb, sacrificing his own life. Smith wasted no time and mobilized Ranger and other officers to apprehend Declan. Meanwhile, Declan and his heavily armed group were prepared to unleash their weapons of mass destruction, which they had acquired from Ukraine. Their initial target was the iconic Big Ben in the heart of London, with plans to strike other crucial locations in the city. The leader of Declan's organization hesitated and ordered Declan to call off the operation for undisclosed reasons. However, Declan was unwavering in his determination, as he had meticulously planned the attack. He instructed Oleg to prepare for the assault immediately. Outside the building, the police, led by Ranger and Smith, readied themselves for action. They formulated a plan, with some officers positioned across from the building to provide cover while Smith and Ranger infiltrated the structure. Engaging in combat with the guards, they swiftly eliminated their adversaries. Ranger later confronted Oleg in a fierce battle, ultimately defeating him by delivering a powerful blow to his head with a hammer. Smith and Ranger proceeded to ascend the building. Smith directed her team to fire upon Declan from the opposite building, effectively thwarting the criminals' attack on London. Left isolated, Declan contemplated surrendering to the police. However, he managed to escape once again, deploying a smoke bomb to cover his retreat. Evading capture, Declan slipped away unnoticed. Subsequently, Ranger and Smith received commendation from Geddes, the head of the agency, for successfully preventing the attack on London, despite Declan's escape. Ranger and Smith completed their mission and parted ways, with Ranger returning to Texas and Smith remaining on duty in London. Back in Texas, Ranger resumed his patrol duties. He received a call from London, indicating that Declan was planning to resume criminal activities in Texas. Ranger kept a vigilant watch, and to everyone's surprise, he managed to locate Declan and his men resting nearby. Ranger approached them with his firearm and eliminated all of Declan's associates. Although Declan attempted to escape once more, Ranger shot him from a distance, injuring his leg and preventing his getaway. Declan was apprehended and subsequently handed over to Mexican authorities, who believed that their prisons were better suited to detain him. Declan's capture marked a successful conclusion to Ranger's pursuit, and the film concluded. To watch more video like this, click on the videos on your screen, and don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last I will say stay safe and stay healthy. See you next videos.